Commander Hyun stood on the bridge of his flagship. Around him, the lights from 3,000 warships filled the dark space. His species, the Vraka, had built the largest invasion force in their history. Below them hung Earth, a small blue planet that would soon belong to the Dominion. The humans had received their warning 3 days ago. They had 72 hours to surrender their world. Time was up and the humans had refused. Hyun felt good about this mission. He had conquered 17 different worlds in his long career. Some species fought back, but they always lost in the end. The mathematics of war were simple. 3,000 Vraka ships against barely 200 human vessels. The numbers told the whole story. His second officer, Minho, walked up to him with a data pad in his clawed hand. The younger Vraka looked excited. This would be his first major invasion, and everything pointed to an easy victory. Commander, our scouts have finished their final reports. The human defense fleet has only 198 ships. They have no energy shields on their vessels. Their weapons are primitive. We found no gravitic technology at all. Their power systems are weak compared to ours. This battle will be over in less than 1 day. Hyun nodded slowly. Everything Minho said matched the intelligence reports. Yet something bothered him. The human transmissions during the past 3 days had been strange. They showed no fear. Instead, the humans seemed almost happy about the coming fight. Some of their messages had even mocked the Vraka fleet. In all his years of conquest, Hyun had never seen prey act this way when facing certain defeat. What about their ground forces? Hyun asked. Intelligence Officer Jiwon stepped forward. She pulled up more data on the main screen. Their military structure is broken into hundreds of pieces, Commander. They have no single army. Every nation on their planet maintains separate armed forces. They cannot possibly coordinate a proper defense. And their weapons, she paused and made a clicking sound that indicated amusement among the Vraka. They still use chemical explosions to fire metal bullets. It is ancient technology, like throwing rocks at our soldiers. The other officers in the command center began clicking their mandibles in laughter. Chemical weapons! The idea seemed ridiculous. The Vraka had plasma rifles that could melt through steel. They had molecular disruptors that could tear apart matter at the atomic level. They had gravity bombs that could flatten entire cities. What chance did primitive bullets have against such power? Begin the attack, Hyun commanded. Target their orbital stations first, destroy their satellites, then move on to their fleet. When we control their space, we will send down our drop troops to take their cities. By this time tomorrow, Earth will fly the flag of the Dominion. The Vraka fleet moved forward. 3,000 ships formed into attack groups. Their weapons powered up, ready to fire. Fighter craft launched from the carriers, filling space with even more vessels. The first wave of Vraka forces rushed toward the human defensive line like a massive wave of metal and energy. That was the moment when everything changed. The human ships did not run away. They did not try to dodge or hide. Instead, every single human vessel turned and rushed straight at the Vraka fleet. And then they opened fire with every weapon they had. Hyun watched his screen in shock. The humans were firing metal projectiles, but these were not simple bullets. They were massive chunks of dense metal moving at incredible speeds. The railgun rounds punched through Vraka shields as if they were made of paper. Explosions erupted across the Vraka front line as ship after ship took critical damage. Then came the missiles. Thousands of them. Tens of thousands. The human ships launched so many missiles that the Vraka sensor systems could not count them all. The defensive systems tried to shoot them down, but there were too many. Missiles slammed into Vraka hulls, tearing through armor and detonating inside the ships, and the lasers. The intelligence reports had mentioned human laser weapons, and the Vraka had dismissed them as weak. But these lasers were anything but weak. They were massive beams of focused light, crude and overpowered, that burned through Vraka armor plating in seconds. The humans had apparently decided that if their lasers were not sophisticated enough, they would simply make them more powerful instead. They are attacking us, Minho screamed. Full assault formation. Every human ship is charging straight at us. Commander, they have armed their space stations too. Everything is shooting at us. Hyun could barely process what he was seeing. This was not how space battles worked. The defenders were supposed to fall back, to use their knowledge of the terrain to fight carefully. Instead, the humans had thrown away every rule of tactical warfare. They were attacking with everything they had, right from the start, with no concern for their own safety. In the first 60 seconds of combat, The Vraka fleet lost over 300 ships. 300 in 1 minute. Hyun had never seen casualties like this in his entire career. The human weapons were primitive, yes, but they had been built with one purpose in mind: to destroy anything that came near Earth. And they were very, very good at it. All ships, spread out. Hyun ordered. Do not stay in formation. They are saturating our positions with fire. Break apart and attack from multiple angles. But the Vraka fleet was too large. Ships collided with each other as they tried to move. The tight formation that had seemed so impressive now became a trap. The human weapons did not need to aim carefully. They could simply fire into the mass of Vraka vessels and hit something. Jiwon was frantically working at her console. Commander, I am reading the human communications. They are coordinating perfectly. Every ship, every station, every weapon platform is working together like parts of one giant machine. How are they doing this? Our report said they had no unified command. Hyun understood now. The humans had lied. Or rather, they had let the Vraka scouts see exactly what they wanted them to see. Yes, Earth had hundreds of separate nations, but when faced with an outside threat, they had put aside all their differences. They had spent the last 6 months, ever since the first Vraka scout ships appeared, preparing for this exact moment. While the Vraka had been making threats and demands, the humans had been getting ready for war. More explosions lit up the darkness of space. The Vraka were fighting back now, their plasma weapons and missiles finding targets. Human ships died too, erupting in flames and breaking apart. But for every human ship that fell, 3 or 4 Vraka vessels went with it. The mathematics that had seemed so simple before now looked very different, and the humans kept coming. Even ships that had taken terrible damage continued to fight. Hyun watched one human destroyer that had lost half its hull still firing its railguns until the moment it finally exploded. Another human ship, completely dead in space with no power, used its last emergency thrusters to ram itself into a Vraka cruiser. These humans did not fight like any species the Vraka had ever encountered. They fought like they had nothing to lose. They fought like the only thing that mattered was taking down as many enemy ships as possible before they died. They fought with a fury that seemed impossible to Hyun. Commander, we have lost 800 ships, Minho reported, his voice shaking. 800 in less than 1 hour. We cannot sustain these losses. We must retreat. Hyun looked at the tactical display. The battle had turned into chaos. The Vraka fleet was still larger, still had more ships, but they were losing the fight. The humans had somehow taken their technological disadvantages and turned them into strengths. Their weapons were simple, which meant they were reliable and easy to mass produce. Their tactics were brutal, which meant the Vraka could not predict what they would do next. But Hyun knew retreating now would be even worse. The humans would chase them. They would hunt down every single ship. No, there was only one option left. Deploy all ground forces, he commanded. Send every drop pod we have. If we cannot win in space, we will take their planet from the ground. Launch the invasion now. Captain Daeho stood on the bridge of his destroyer. The ship was named Indomitable, and right now that name felt very right. All around his vessel, human warships were pushing forward into the alien fleet. His crew worked fast and smooth. They had trained for this moment for months. Everyone knew their job. Everyone was ready. Fire railgun, Daeho ordered. The ship shook as the massive weapon launched another metal projectile at near light speed. On the main screen, he watched it punch straight through an alien cruiser. The enemy ship broke apart in a ball of fire and gas. Good shot. Reload and find another target. Navigation. Angle us toward that cluster of enemy ships. I want a clear torpedo run. Communications, send to all human vessels. Hold your positions and make every shot count. His tactical officer, Lieutenant Sora, looked up from her console. Her face showed fierce pride. Sir, the enemy formation is falling apart. They are trying to spread out, but our attack patterns are cutting through them. They were not ready for this kind of fight. Of course they were not ready, Daeho said with a grim smile. Another alien battleship exploded on the screen. They looked at our technology and thought we would be easy to defeat. They have never fought humans before. They do not know what we are capable of when someone threatens our home. The truth was simple. Humanity had been preparing for contact with aliens since humans first went to space. Every nation on Earth had spent money on defensive systems. Every country had researched weapons. Every government had planned for the day when something from the stars might come to Earth with bad intentions. When the Vraka scouts had appeared 6 months ago, humanity had not panicked. They had mobilized. Every nation put aside old arguments. Every government focused on one goal: survival. They armed their orbital platforms. They militarized civilian ships. They turned factories toward making weapons. And while the aliens spent months making threats, humans spent months preparing for war. The alien fleet was 15 times larger than the human fleet, but size did not matter when your enemy could not break through your defenses. Humans had built their ships the way they built everything else, strong with backup systems, designed to keep working long after they should have stopped. Enemy flagship is pulling back, Sora reported. They are trying to regroup behind the moon. All ships pursue them, Deho ordered. Do not let them rest. Press the attack. Show them what happens when you threaten Earth. The human fleet surged forward. Every ship moved as one unit. Weapons blazed continuously. For the first time in their history, the Vraka discovered that having too many ships could be a problem. Their vessels collided with each other as they tried to retreat. Their formations collapsed. Panic spread through their ranks like a disease. The aliens had expected to fight primitives. They had found warriors instead. On the alien flagship, Commander Hyun stared at his tactical display. He felt numb. They had lost nearly 800 ships in less than an hour. 800! His entire career, all his victories, all his experience meant nothing against these humans. The humans were fighting with a ferocity that made no sense. Their ships would take damage that should destroy them, but they kept fighting. Their crews would stay at their posts even as their vessels burned around them. One human ship had its entire front section blown off, and it still kept firing weapons from the back half until it finally exploded. "Commander, we must retreat," Jiwon begged. Her voice was high with fear. "The fleet cannot take these losses. If we stay, they will destroy us all." Hyun knew she was right, but he also knew that retreating would be worse. The humans would chase them. They would hunt down every ship. The humans had shown they would never stop, never give up. No, there was only one choice left. "Deploy the ground invasion force," he commanded. His voice was hollow. "If we cannot win in space, we will take their planet from the ground. Launch all drop pods now." Minho stared at him. "Commander, the ground forces will have no support from space. The humans control the orbital area now. We will be sending our soldiers to their deaths." "I know," Hyun said quietly. "But if we do not try, if we simply run away, the High Council will execute me and everyone in command. At least this way we can say we attempted a ground invasion." "Launch the pods." All of them. Thousands of drop pods launched from the Vraka carriers. They fell toward Earth like metal rain. Each pod carried a squad of elite Vraka warriors. These were soldiers who had conquered other worlds. They were the best troops the Dominion had. They had no idea what was waiting for them on the surface. Back on the human destroyer, Sora called out another report. "Sir, enemy drop pods are entering the atmosphere. Looks like they are targeting major cities. Seoul, Tokyo, New York, London, and 8 other locations." Deho nodded. He had expected this. When the space battle turned against them, the aliens would try a ground assault. It was basic tactics. Send warning to all ground forces. Tell them the invasion has begun. And tell them... He paused, thinking about the brave people who would face the aliens on the ground. "Tell them we are winning up here. Tell them to hold the line. We will finish the fleet, then come down and help them clean up whatever is left of the invasion force." Sora smiled. It was not a kind smile. "Sir, I think our ground forces are going to be just fine. The aliens are about to learn something important about humans." "What is that?" Deho asked. "That we are even more dangerous when you invade our homes." The human fleet continued its assault. Ship by ship, the Vraka fleet was being torn apart. The aliens who had come to conquer were learning a hard lesson. Humans did not surrender. Humans did not give up. And humans did not forgive threats to their world. In space, the battle raged on. Explosions lit up the darkness. Ships died on both sides. But slowly, steadily, the humans were winning. Every minute that passed saw more alien vessels destroyed or crippled. Every minute saw the Vraka fleet grow weaker. And on Earth's surface, in 12 cities around the planet, the drop pods were landing. The Vraka soldiers inside prepared to step out onto an alien world. They checked their plasma rifles. They activated their armor systems. They thought about the easy victories they had won on other planets. They had no idea that Earth was not like other planets. They had no idea that humans were not like other species. They were about to receive the most violent lesson of their lives. The first drop pods hit the ground outside Seoul. The ramps dropped. The Vraka warriors stepped out into Earth's atmosphere for the first time, and the humans were waiting for them. Warrior Jiho felt the drop pod shake violently as it crashed through Earth's atmosphere. The heat shields glowed bright orange. Inside the cramped space, he sat with 11 other Vraka soldiers. They were all elite warriors. They had trained for years. They had fought on many worlds and always won. Jiho checked his plasma rifle one more time. The weapon hummed with power. It could melt through steel in seconds. His armor was top grade, able to stop most primitive weapons. He felt confident. The humans might have surprised everyone in space, but ground combat was different. The Vraka were bigger, stronger, and better armed than any human could be. The pod slammed into the ground with tremendous force. The impact straps held the soldiers in place, but Jiho still felt his bones shake. Red lights flashed. The main ramp began to lower. Bright sunlight streamed in. Jiho could smell the alien air of Earth for the first time. It was strange but breathable. "Move out. Secure the landing zone," the squad leader barked. Jiho was the third soldier out of the pod. He ran down the ramp, his rifle ready. They had landed in an open area outside a human city. Buildings rose in the distance. The terrain was flat with some abandoned vehicles scattered around. Perfect for a landing zone. Then he heard a sharp crack. The sound was strange, not like a plasma weapon. The soldier next to Jiho suddenly fell. There was a hole punched straight through his armor. Through his chest. The warrior was dead before he hit the ground. Another crack. Another soldier fell. Then another. Jiho dove behind a wrecked vehicle. His mind raced. The humans were shooting at them. But from where? He could not see any enemy soldiers. The shots seemed to come from everywhere. "Take cover," someone screamed. "Return fire!" But there was nowhere safe to hide. The humans had turned every building into a fortress. Every window held a sniper. Every street corner had a machine gun position. The Vraka had walked into a trap. This entire area was one giant killing zone. Jiho fired his plasma rifle at a building where he thought he saw movement. The weapon's bright beam carved through concrete. But more human bullets came back. These primitive kinetic weapons should not be able to pierce Vraka armor. Yet they were doing exactly that. Somehow the humans had figured out the weak points in the armor design. Across the battlefield, Sergeant Borum lay on her stomach on the 4th floor of an office building. Her rifle was braced on a sandbag. Through her scope, she watched the aliens scramble for cover. She had already killed 2 of them. She lined up her sights on a third. "Breathe, aim, squeeze," she whispered to herself. The rifle kicked against her shoulder. Through the scope, she saw the alien jerk backward and fall. 3 down. Her spotter, Private Young-Ho, called out new targets. 2 more coming out of that pod. Range 400 meters, Borum shifted her aim. Found the targets, fired, 1 alien dropped. Fired again. The second one fell. Her rifle had armor-piercing rounds. The military had spent the last 6 months analyzing every piece of data about the alien ships and equipment. They had found the weak spots. And now every soldier on Earth knew exactly where to shoot. Her radio crackled. "All units, this is command. The aliens have landed in 12 locations across the city. All positions are under attack. Hold your ground. Make every shot count. The fleet is winning in space. We just need to survive down here." "Roger that," Borum replied. She reloaded her rifle. Around the city, thousands of soldiers were doing the same thing. Seoul had turned into a fortress. Every major building had been fortified. Supply caches were hidden everywhere. The civilians had not evacuated. Instead, they had armed themselves. Old men with hunting rifles. Young people with Molotov cocktails. Everyone was ready to defend their home. The aliens had made a terrible mistake. They thought humans were divided. They thought humans could not work together. But there was one thing that united all humans more than anything else: the defense of their home world. Every nation, every person, every soldier understood that if Earth fell, everything was lost. Down on the street, Jiho was running for his life. Half his squad was dead. The other half was scattered. The humans were everywhere. He saw movement in an alley and fired his plasma rifle. The beam scorched the wall, but the human had already moved. Then something hit him from the side. A human soldier, much smaller than Jiho, had tackled him. The human was a female. Her rifle was empty, but she had a knife. She drove it toward the weak point in Jiho's neck armor with terrifying precision. He barely managed to throw her off. The human rolled and came back at him. She was fast, so fast. Jiho tried to bring his plasma rifle around, but she knocked it aside and stabbed at him again. This time the knife found its target. Jiho felt cold pain spread through his body. He fell to his knees. As his vision faded, Jiho had one final thought. These were not primitive beings. These were apex predators. Every human was a born fighter. Evolution on their death world had made them into perfect killing machines. All across Seoul, the same scene repeated. The Vraka warriors, for all their training and equipment, found themselves outmatched by humans fighting on their home ground. The aliens had weapons that could level buildings, but the humans had something more important. They had determination, they had courage, and they had 10,000 years of practice at the art of war. By the time the sun set, 8 of the 12 landing zones had been completely overrun by human forces. The surviving Vraka warriors had retreated to fortified positions and were calling desperately for evacuation. But no help was coming. Their fleet was in full retreat in space. The ground forces were trapped on an enemy planet with no way home. In one of the few remaining Vraka positions, a young warrior named Kyung-soo crouched behind a barricade made from their own drop pods. He had never been so scared in his life. He could hear the humans moving through the ruins around them. They were not rushing in. They were being careful, methodical. They would clear every building, every room until they found the last of the invaders. Why are they so good at this? Kyung-soo whispered to the soldier next to him. The older warrior laughed bitterly. Because they have been fighting each other for their entire history. Every tactic we know they invented. Every strategy we use they perfected. We came here thinking we were the warriors. But we were wrong. They are the warriors. We are just soldiers. A loudspeaker crackled to life. A human voice spoke in the Vraka language. The translation software had clearly been working. Alien soldiers, you are surrounded. Your fleet has abandoned you. You have no support and no way to escape. Surrender now, and you will be treated according to the rules of war. Continue fighting and you will be destroyed. You have 5 minutes to decide. Kyung-soo looked at his commanding officer. The old warrior's mandibles trembled. He had fought for 30 years. He had won countless battles, and now he was beaten by these humans with their simple weapons and incredible fighting spirit. Put down your weapons, the commander said quietly. We surrender. One by one, the Vraka warriors laid down their plasma rifles and stepped out from their positions with their arms raised. Human soldiers emerged from the shadows, their weapons trained on the aliens. The humans looked tired, dirty, and wounded, but they also looked victorious. The ground invasion of Earth had lasted less than 12 hours. It had been a complete disaster for the Vraka. They had come to conquer gods of war, and now they would pay the price for their arrogance. Commander Hyun sat in his command chair. His flagship was damaged badly. Atmosphere leaked from dozens of hull breaches. The ship shook constantly as damaged systems failed. Around him in space, the remains of his once mighty fleet tried to escape. Of the 3,000 ships that had arrived at Earth, fewer than 1,200 were still able to fight. The rest were destroyed, drifting wrecks or captured by human boarding parties. The human fleet followed them relentlessly. Even though the humans had lost many ships too, those that remained fought with undiminished energy. They gave no quarter. They showed no mercy. When Hyun had tried to send a surrender message, the humans had responded by ramming one of their damaged destroyers into his escort carrier at full speed. The message was clear. The humans were not interested in surrender. They wanted revenge, Commander, Minho said quietly. His voice was barely a whisper. We have received the final reports from the surface. The ground invasion has failed, completely. The humans have killed or captured 90% of our forces. The survivors are requesting evacuation. Hyun closed his eyes. 90%. The finest warriors of the Vraka Dominion, slaughtered by primitives with chemical weapons. It seemed impossible. Yet it had happened. We cannot evacuate them, he said. His voice was flat, empty of emotion. We barely have enough ships to save ourselves. Tell them, he paused. What could he tell warriors he was abandoning to their fate? Tell them they fought with honor. Tell them their sacrifice will be remembered. Jiwon looked up from her console. She had been crying. And what do we do now, Commander? We run, Hyun replied. The word tasted bitter. We run as fast as we can. We reach jump distance, and then we warn the Dominion. We tell them that Earth must never be attacked again. Ever. But the humans were not finished with them. Admiral Yunji commanded the human pursuit fleet from her carrier. The ship was named Defiant, and that name had never been more appropriate. Her fleet had been fighting for 6 hours straight. They were exhausted. Many ships were damaged. They had lost good people. But they were winning. Her executive officer approached her. "Admiral, the alien fleet is breaking apart. They are trying to reach jump distance so they can escape. Should we let them go? We have won. Why waste more lives chasing them?" Yunji considered his words carefully. She was tired. Her crew was exhausted. They had accomplished their mission. Earth was saved. The invasion had been defeated. Logically, they should let the aliens run away, but logic was not enough. She thought about the ultimatum the aliens had sent. Surrender or die. She thought about the arrogance in their messages. She thought about the millions who would have died if humanity had been unprepared. She thought about sending a message to every species in the galaxy. "We chase them," she said firmly. "We chase them to the edge of our solar system. We make sure every single one of their ships remembers what happened here. When they return to their dominion, when they tell their leaders about Earth, I want them to remember this day with terror in their hearts." She turned to face her bridge crew. Every face showed exhaustion, but every face also showed determination. "We are not just defending our world anymore. We are sending a message to the entire galaxy. Humans are not prey. We are predators, and this is our hunting ground. Now let us hunt." The human fleet accelerated. Their weapons were still hot. Their engines burned at maximum power. Behind them, Earth hung in space, battered but unbroken. Ahead, the alien fleet fled like frightened animals. For 3 more hours, the chase continued. The humans picked off straggling alien ships one by one. Every vessel that fell behind was destroyed. Every attempt to fight back was crushed. The aliens learned what it meant to face humanity at war. Finally, as the alien fleet reached the outer edge of the solar system, Admiral Yunji gave the order to break off. The human ships were running low on ammunition and fuel. They had pushed themselves to the limit. It was time to go home. "Send one final message to the alien fleet," she commanded. "Tell them this: Earth remembers. If they ever return, if any of their people ever threaten us again, we will not stop at our solar system. We will come for them. We will find their worlds, and we will show them the same mercy they showed us." The message was sent. On the alien flagship, Commander Hyun received it. He did not respond. There was nothing to say. The humans had proven their point. They were not a species to be trifled with. As the Vraka fleet finally jumped away to safety, Hyun looked at his crew. They were defeated, broken. They had come expecting an easy conquest. They were leaving having lost 2,000 ships and nearly all their ground forces. "What are we going to tell the High Council?" Minyo asked. Hyun thought about that for a long moment. "The truth," he finally said. "We tell them the truth. That we encountered a species unlike any we have seen before. That we encountered a species born from a death world, raised in constant conflict, perfected through endless war. We tell them that we encountered humans, and we tell them to never ever go back to Earth." Back at Earth, the human fleet began the slow journey home. The celebration would come later. Right now, there was work to do. Damaged ships needed repair. Wounded needed treatment. The dead needed to be honored. And the planet needed to be prepared for whatever came next, because humanity now knew the truth. They were not alone in the universe, and if one alien species had found them, others would follow. But now humanity was ready. They had proven they could defend themselves. They had proven they could win. Captain Daeho sat in his chair on the bridge of the Indomitable. His ship was a wreck. Half the crew was dead or wounded, but they had survived, and they had won. Lieutenant Sora limped over to him. She had a bandage wrapped around her head. "Sir, we are receiving messages from all over Earth. Everyone wants to know what happened. What should we tell them?" Daeho smiled. It was a tired smile, but genuine. "Tell them the truth. Tell them that aliens came to conquer us. Tell them that we fought back with everything we had. Tell them that we won. And tell them—" He paused, looking at the blue planet growing larger on his screen. "Tell them that this is just the beginning. The galaxy knows about us now, and whether they come in peace or war, humanity will be ready. The age of human expansion had begun. The species from Earth, the children of a death world, had taken their first step onto the galactic stage. They had announced themselves not with peaceful greetings but with fire and fury. They had shown the galaxy what humans were capable of when threatened, and the galaxy would never forget. 6 months later, Commander Hyun stood before the High Council of the Vraka Dominion. The council chamber was enormous, with high ceilings and walls carved from black stone. 12 council members sat in a semicircle looking down at him. Each one was ancient, powerful, and very angry. Hyun had aged greatly in the past 6 months. His carapace was scarred from stress. His mandibles moved slowly. The disaster at Earth had haunted him every single day. Now he had to explain to the council how he had lost 2,000 ships and tens of thousands of soldiers. "Speak, Commander," High Counselor Taehyung commanded. His voice echoed through the chamber. "Explain to us how the greatest invasion force in our history was defeated by a primitive species." Hyun took a deep breath. "Honored counselors, the humans are not like any species we have encountered. They do not fight like civilized beings. They fight with total commitment. Every single member of their species is willing to die to protect their world, and they are very, very good at fighting. They had inferior technology," another counselor said coldly. "Your report stated they had no shields, no advanced weapons, no proper military structure." "That is correct," Hyun replied. "But technology is not everything. The humans took their simple weapons and made them devastatingly effective. Their railguns could not match our plasma cannons in sophistication, so they made them more powerful instead. Their missiles were basic, so they built thousands more. Their tactics were not elegant, but they were brutally effective." He activated a hologram showing Earth. The planet rotated slowly in the air. "Look at their world, counselors. It is a death world. Their planet has been trying to kill them for millions of years. Predators at every level, diseases that would kill our species in hours, weather systems that destroy entire regions, earthquakes, volcanoes, storms. And yet the humans survived. They did not just survive, they conquered their world completely." Taehyung leaned forward. "What are you saying, Commander?" "I am saying that humans are born warriors. Their entire evolution prepared them for war. They spent 10,000 years fighting each other, perfecting every aspect of combat. When we arrived, they simply used all that experience against us. Every tactic we tried they had already invented. Every strategy we used they had already perfected centuries ago." He pulled up combat footage. The council watched in silence as human ships rammed Vraka vessels. They watched human soldiers fight with incredible ferocity. They watched civilians join the battle with primitive weapons. "We had overwhelming numbers," Hyun continued. 3,000 ships against less than 200. But numbers meant nothing. The humans did not try to survive. They tried to win. Every single ship, every single soldier, every single civilian fought as if victory was the only option. They have a word for it: defiance. They refuse to accept defeat even when defeat seems certain. Another counselor spoke up. "But surely their technology will remain inferior to ours. We can develop new weapons, new strategies." Hyun shook his head. "That is what I thought too, counselor. But I was wrong. The humans are incredibly adaptable. In 6 months, they went from being completely unprepared for space combat to defeating our fleet. What do you think they will do with another year? 10 years? 100 years?" He pulled up more data. "Our intelligence reports say the humans have already begun analyzing our captured ships. They are learning our technology. They are improving their own. And they are doing it fast, very fast. In 10 years, they will have ships that match ours. In 50 years, they will surpass us. Because that is what humans do. They learn. They adapt. They overcome." The council chamber fell silent. The counselors looked at each other with concern. "What do you recommend, Commander Hyun?" Taehyung asked quietly. "We leave them alone," Hyun said immediately. "We declare their solar system forbidden space. No Vraka ship goes within 100 light years. We pretend they do not exist. Because if we provoke them again, if we give them a reason to leave their world and come after us, we will regret it." "You think they would attack us?" a counselor asked in disbelief. "I know they would," Hyun replied. "The last message they sent to our fleet was very clear. They said if we ever return, they will come for us. They will find our worlds, and they will show us the same mercy we showed them." Which was none, he gestured to the hologram. "Right now, the humans are content to stay on their world. But that will not last. Once they learn we exist, once they see what is possible, they will reach for the stars. It is in their nature. They never stop expanding. They never stop growing. They never accept limits. Then we should destroy them now, another counselor said. Before they become a threat. Hyun laughed bitterly. With what fleet, counselor? We sent 3,000 ships and lost 2/3 of them. How many ships would it take to actually destroy Earth? 10,000? 20,000? And even if we won, even if we glassed their entire planet, the cost would cripple the Dominion. No, the humans have earned their survival through strength. We leave them alone. The council talked among themselves for several minutes. Finally, Taehyung spoke. The council has decided. The Sol system is declared forbidden space. All records of the Earth expedition will be classified. Officially, we will say the fleet was lost to a spatial anomaly. No Vraka will speak of what happened there. That will not work, Hyun said quietly. Too many ships survived. Too many soldiers saw what happened. The truth will spread. Other species will hear about it. They will learn that there is a planet of warriors out in that direction, a species that defeated the mighty Vraka Dominion. Taehyung nodded slowly. Perhaps that is for the best. Let the galaxy know. Let them know there is a species out there that should not be disturbed. A species of warriors born from a death world. A species that fights like gods of war. Hyun was dismissed. As he left the council chamber, he felt both relief and dread. Relief that he would not be executed for his failure. Dread for what the future might hold because he knew the truth. The humans would not stay on their world forever. Eventually, they would build better ships. They would explore. They would expand. And when they did, the galaxy would never be the same. Back on Earth, life was returning to normal. The damaged cities were being rebuilt. The wounded were healing. The fleet was being repaired and expanded. New weapons were being designed. New ships were being built. And every human knew one important truth. They were no longer alone in the universe. In military academies across the planet, the battle was being studied. Every decision was analyzed. Every tactic was reviewed. The humans were learning from their victory. They were preparing for the next encounter, because they knew it would come eventually. Admiral Yoonji stood on the observation deck of a space station looking down at Earth. The planet was beautiful. Blue and green and white, home to 8 billion humans who had just proven they could defend themselves against anything the universe threw at them. Captain Daeho joined her. His ship had been repaired, and he was preparing for another patrol mission. Do you think they will come back? He asked. The Vraka? No, Yoonji replied. We hurt them too badly. They will never risk another attack. But others will come. Maybe peaceful, maybe hostile. Either way, we will be ready. Daeho nodded. We proved something important. We proved that humans belong among the stars. We proved that we can defend ourselves. And we proved that anyone who threatens our world will regret it. More than that, Yoonji said with a slight smile. We proved that humanity is not prey. We are predators. We are warriors. We are survivors. And we will never surrender. Together they looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Vraka were licking their wounds and warning others to stay away from Earth. But humanity would not wait forever. Eventually, they would venture out into the galaxy on their own terms. And when they did, the galaxy would learn what it truly meant to encounter gods of war.